Where does Japanese tea grow? This is a question we get asked a lot, so we thought we'd put together a video to talk about all the different locations where tea grows in Japan. In this video, we're going to cover the major tea growing regions of Shizuoka, Kagoshima, Mie, Kyoto, Kumamoto, and Miyazaki. Before we get started, it would really mean a lot to us if you could subscribe to this YouTube channel and like this video to see more like it in the future. If you'd prefer to read about this topic, we have a great blog article and we'll put the link in the description below. Without further ado, let's get started. The question of where does Japanese tea grow has a lot of different answers. To sum it up, there are 6 main regions where Japanese tea grows: Shizuoka, Kagoshima, Kyoto, Kumamoto, Miyazaki, and Mie. Rather than try to explain all the locations in one section, we decided to break down each of the tea producing regions and rank them by how much tea they produce. First, we have Shizuoka. Shizuoka is the largest tea producing region in Japan, with over 40% of the green tea produced in Japan coming from Shizuoka. Located right outside of Tokyo, Shizuoka is famous for its tea fields located right at the foot of Mount Fuji. As far as tea cultivation goes, Shizuoka has some of the most northern plantations, which means the winters are longer. Here, farmers typically grow the more frost-resistant Yabukita cultivar, and they use different techniques to keep the plants warm during the winter. You may notice green fans blowing air onto the tea fields to keep them from getting frostbite. The Osada family have the perfect example of a Shizuoka tea farm. They produce tea in a small town where the landscape is much flatter and more people live. This makes it easy for them to provide jobs to the people in the towns nearby without them having to commute too far for work. They still end up sourcing their tea from up in the mountains, from a collection of organic tea fields they refer to as the organic village of Isagawa. The tea farmers here have all agreed not to use pesticides or chemicals on their fields, and they all work together to form one large Shizuoka tea farm. The tea produced on this Shizuoka tea farm is of great quality, and it really benefits from the mineral-rich mountain soil. This minerality is clear to see in a tea like the Sencha Isagawa or the Kukicha Osada, which are both grown on this farm. You can feel the minerality of these teas as a tingling sensation on the palate. The flavor is slightly on the drier side with a hint of astringency. If you're interested in trying other types of Shizuoka green tea, you can check out the Bancha Masuda En, the Genmaicha Hagiricha, or the Goko Matcha Koyai. Shizuoka green tea doesn't follow one specific taste characteristic, but a higher percentage of them are made from the Yabukita cultivar, meaning that these teas have a little bit more dryness to them. Next, we have Kagoshima tea farms. Kagoshima farms are responsible for 19% of the tea produced in Japan, making Kagoshima the second largest tea growing region in Japan. The Kagoshima farms we work with are located in the far south on the island of Kyushu. In this volcanic, subtropical region, the winters are much milder, allowing farmers to produce a wider variety of tea cultivars. You will tend to find sweeter teas produced in Kagoshima, as farmers are able to grow more delicate cultivars like Okumidori, Saimidori, and Asatsuyu. Some of the Kagoshima farms we work with include Mr. Sakamoto's tea farm, Mr. Kawaji's tea farm, Mr. Naruki's tea farm, as well as Mr. Henta's tea farm. Mie Tea Farms. Located right by the old capitals of Kyoto and Nara lies the coastal prefecture of Mie, which produces around 7% of the total tea produced in Japan. In addition to producing the common Yabukita cultivar, Mie is also famous for the production of Sayama Kaori and Okumidori teas. It is also the largest producer of green tea to be used in desserts. Kyoto Tea Farms. Kyoto tea farms are among the most legendary in all of Japan, but they make up only 3.4% of the total tea produced here. In the cultural heart of Japan, there are still tea farms that grow and process green tea. Although Kyoto is a densely populated city, the areas surrounding it are covered in tea fields. Areas such as Wazuka, Uji, and Ujitawara all produce green teas, and they are most famous for the production of ceremonial matcha. As we've discussed in other videos, much of the tea history in Japan can be traced back to a handful of spots in the area around Kyoto, making some Kyoto tea farms the oldest in Japan. Kumamoto. Kumamoto tea has a reputation that far exceeds its size. Although Kumamoto tea makes up only around 3% of the total tea produced in Japan, it's very well known for its production of gyokuro and tamari okucha. Of the farmers we work with, only one of them lives in Kumamoto, and that is Mr. Fujisako. Mr. Fujisako focuses almost exclusively on the production of tamari okucha, a special Kumamoto tea. This tea is called curled tea because the leaves are turned into a kama shape rather than the needle shape that is common for other types of Japanese green teas. Nestled in the central part of the island of Kyushu, Kumamoto is well known for producing top-notch green teas. Within Kumamoto lies the city of Yame, which has become famous for its production of sweeter specialty teas like gyokuro and kaboseicha. Although the area is small, Yame consistently produces some of the top gyokuro in all of Japan. Miyazaki Tea Farms. Located on the eastern coast of central Kyushu, the mountainous Miyazaki prefecture is home to a rare Japanese green tea called Kama-iricha. Kama-iricha is made in the Chinese style, which involves turning it in a hot pan to release the warmer flavors from the leaves. While a typical Japanese green tea like sencha is really strong on these grassy or steamed vegetable taste profiles, Kame takes on more of these flavors of cashews, toasted almonds, and caramel. The flavor of Kame is somewhere in between a sencha, unroasted tea, or a hojicha, fully roasted tea. If you like the flavors of your tea to be more in the warmer direction, you may like the taste of Kame. To learn more about Miyazaki tea, we met with a farmer, Mr. Isen, in the small town of Takachiho. Here he not only produces the famous Miyazaki tea Kame, but also a black tea and an oolong as well. Oolong is a partially oxidized tea, and black tea is fully oxidized. This means that the tea leaves are not heated immediately after the harvest like they would be if the farmer were producing a green tea. Instead, Mr. Isen will wither the leaves by putting them on these bamboo mats and then accelerate the oxidation process. If he is producing oolong tea, he will later stop the oxidation process by applying heat to the leaves. Miyazaki tea can be made from a variety of different tea cultivars, including one named after Mr. Isen's hometown of Takachiho. To produce the oolong and black teas, special tea cultivars are used like the Betafuki. These cultivars show a little bit more bitterness, so they don't work so well with green tea, but during the oxidation process, the catechins are converted into theaflavins, which smooths out the taste of the tea. Which is the most reputable Japanese green tea farm? After traveling around Japan for the past few years, we have visited dozens of different tea farms and sampled hundreds of different teas. It's not enough to simply work with farmers that have a strong reputation. We also like to visit them in person and see how they produce their teas to make sure that best practices are being used in terms of quality control and sustainability. As a result, every Japanese green tea farm we work with has impeccable standards when it comes to their tea, and the final product speaks for itself. It's hard to say which Japanese green tea farm is our favorite because they all employ different strengths and strategies. If you're interested in learning more about a particular Japanese green tea farm, you can find the information on the product page of each tea we sell. When you buy tea from us, you're not only supporting our YouTube channel, but also the dozens of farmers that we have the privilege to work with. All these farmers produce tea without the use of chemicals or pesticides, and after sampling hundreds of teas from all around Japan, these are the best that we've found. Another way to support the channel is by subscribing and liking this video so that you can see more like it in the future. If you have any questions about tea, please feel free to leave those in the comments below. Until then, we'll see you next time.